First, we just added some oil. I added some olive oil to the pan, and then we're going to dump in our cauli rice. This is that whole bag of chopped cauliflower rice. So it's about 12 ounces, and you can hear that sizzle. Okay, we're going to add some salt and some pepper to the cauliflower rice while it cooks. The salt will help bring some of the moisture out of the dish. So just stirring that in. You want to make sure that it cooks nice and evenly. So right now we're just kind of pulling the cauliflower moisture out. And it's going to kind of turn slightly translucent. It won't be all the way translucent before we start adding some of our other seasonings. Okay, we are definitely ready to go ahead and add our liquids, which will end up just cooking down. So we're going to do about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And the lemon juice really helps to make the flavor a little bit more mild. And we're going to do some chicken broth. About that much. If I was just making a plain rice, I would fill this till it covers the cauliflower completely. But since we already have some liquid in our salsa that we're adding, I'm going to go ahead and add that. That was probably a half of a cup, if I had to guess. But I just want to make sure it's nice and liquidy. And then finally we're going to add our taco seasoning. And that's probably about a tablespoon and a half. It might be 2 tablespoons, but I doubt it. And then we're just going to cook this down until it looks like Mexican rice. This is what it looks like when it's about halfway there. As you can still see, there's, when you pull the rice back, there's still some liquid coming out right there. We want this to be completely dry, and then we'll know that the rice, quote unquote, cauli rice is ready to plate up. Alrighty, so this is what it looks like when it's completely dried up and all of the yummy seasonings are soaked in to the recipe. So I'm going to set this aside, wait for the chicken to bake, and then once everything is cooled a little bit, we'll plate it up for meal prep. Alrighty, so through the magic of video, we have our cauliflower Mexi rice that's all done. And I'm going to scoop some. This is enough here. I'm going to do 3 servings of that. And then this is the salsa chicken, which is super easy. It's literally just salsa, about 1 cup of salsa for 3 pounds of chicken. Probably 3/4 cup of Colby Jack or sharp cheddar cheese works really well as well. 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and that is all, my friend. That makes that deliciousness. So you can see here, we're just scooping this up into this. I normally use just the bigger containers here, but I have a bunch of containers in my freezer still, so they're full of food. So I've been kind of making bigger portions and then freezing them, which is nice. That way, if I have to go out of town or I have a really heavy study week for college, I don't have to cook as much food, and my husband can still eat some yummy, delicious, healthy food that is homemade. So we're just gonna plop a chicken breast in there. So I've got kind of 2 small ones and then a couple big ones. So I'm gonna pull that out there. And you can even top this with some pepper jack cheese if you want it to be extra cheesy. A lot of times I do. I also sometimes will put a little bit more olive oil on the top. It kind of depends. Right now, Danny has some guacamole, so he can, actually I'll put little containers in there. I'll kind of show you that here. I'm going to set these in the container yet because they're still you could see the steam coming off of that. This is still pretty hot, and this is plastic, but this is what you use. You can get the Walmart brand as well. It really doesn't matter, but it's just guacamole. It's very simple ingredients, very clean. It adds some fat to the meal, which is pretty low fat, honestly, depending how much olive oil you use. But yeah, that's the recipe. So deliciousness. And this recipe is actually a great meal because the chicken only takes about the same amount of time as the rice, a little bit longer depending how thin you slice the chicken breast. 25 to 35 minutes in the oven. Takes 2 minutes to dump the salsa in there. So it's a great weeknight meal.